Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Anonymous E, and we have another installment of her story. Good morning, Ollie. Thank you for all your help so far. It is becoming clear to me why I found your channel. Not only do you validate feelings, which my mind needs, but you also are a man, which is kind of nice proof that there are still other good and honest males on earth, you know? I know I have a terrible outlook on the male species in general, but it's been my goal to raise good boys and soon men so they can affect the world with their gifts. I've learned to know a good man from a bad one and not judge before I get to know someone. Anyway, I like how you give your honest opinion, but still preserve a non-judging stance. I'm not a woman basher, okay? But as a woman, I find that my past female friends either just tell me what I want to hear or use something I share as a way to make me feel inadequate. Of course, or worse, try to step in and live my life for me with the constant you shoulds. Or worst of all, the covert narc who claims she's psychic and tells you your dead father talks to her. Oh. Why? Why would your dead father talk to her? Ollie, I seriously have 3 different women in my life who talk to my dad regularly. Like that should have been the exit signal. But I'm too open-minded and empathetic, never wanting to hurt anyone's feelings. Well, while you're worried about not hurting their feelings, they're trying to manipulate you as they're playing, high school Ouija board games. I mean, this is high school mean girl behavior, okay? And now they're breaking out the fucking Ouija board and talking to your dead dad. I mean, come on. I mean, the problem is too many women never progress past the high school lunch table. It's all a mean girl competition. And then you throw in the Ouija board. Please, they have psychic abilities or ability. Get the hell out of here. I'm not saying it's impossible for a female to have good advice, but I only ever seem to attract these unhealthy types. I think men are less emotional and better at cutting through all the feelings and facing the root of problems. My husband is better than me at this for sure. Well, yeah, I mean, to me, men usually have better. Women are more on the emotional side, and men are more with the logic and the reasoning. Okay, that's why it's important for a child to have both parents. Not all cases, but in general. Even still, we can't live in a vacuum and need outside opinions at times. We are at a point in your videos where you read the text between mother-in-law 2 and I, and my histrionic need for acceptance is so embarrassing, and it hurts to look at myself, but only good can come of the truth about my behavior. Thanks for giving my sponsor a break. I love my sponsor, and she helped save my family, but I'm not sure she's got what I need to deal with Drunky. Husband tries, he's a good listener, but this is too heavy for him. His load is big enough. He has shared his perspective on my behavior, though, and says, I'm not so much outwardly crazy, but anxious sometimes, and that's when he avoids me. That he's willing to listen to my feelings, but sometimes I get stuck in the past and he wants to escape it, and that's when the histrionics come in. It triggers my abandonment wound. We have since learned a therapy to do together in that moment. But I need to have a go-to plan when I'm alone. I'm alone a lot, and I've always liked solitude. People in AA say, pick up the phone when you're anxious, reach out. But when everyone in your life is a narc or covert, I was a high bottom drunk, so I had trouble making friends in AA. I saw evil in a lot of eyes there, a lot of good too. There's dark, underhanded, covert shit that goes on in these groups of broken people. Right? Because you got to understand, most alcoholics are narcissists. It's a choice. These are all people who make a choice to pick up that drink like your mother does. Most are from healthy, and I'm too sensitive to even be around it. Anyway, husband says he understands why I was upset with mother-in-law too. He sees her games too and has an even longer history with her, so he's under no illusions that she has good intentions. However, after that text exchange, he got chewed out by his dad, Big W, and I feel awful about that. But his dad still calls every day, so they got over it. Well, who the hell is his dad to be chewing out a grown-ass man? Here's the problem here. Okay, here's the problem. And you're another Gen Xer, your husband's another Gen Xer. Okay, here's the problem with baby boomers. This is what I've always said about them. They never stop acting like they're your superior. Who the fuck is your father to come bitch him out because you had a fight with his wife? Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me about it. Don't talk to me about it. Talk to your wife. Ain't my problem. But a grown-ass man thinks he has the right to come and bitch out his grown son because of a fight his wife had. Big W would love me to apologize. I can apologize for taking her time and assuming her text meant she cared, but I really can't apologize for my feelings I shared. I can only apologize for holding them in and spewing them all out at once. And I would say, no, you want an apology? How about you apologize to my husband? Okay, who the fuck are you to talk to him like he's a child? Because I had an argument with your wife. If you had something to say, you should have said it to me. Respectfully. But he can't do that. Because he needed to get his pound of flesh out of your husband. I guess I should have been honest along the way, but she doesn't make it easy, and I'm kind of afraid of her. She's mean to waiters and waitresses when we go out. She's not a nice person. But if she wants anything more, I'll have to tell her that gossiping has consequences. Well, why would you want to be out with anybody? Why would you be out with somebody who's mean to waiters so they can spit in your food? That's a tell. That's a huge red flag. When you abuse people that can't fight back. Abuse, waiters, waitresses, staff. In fact, why don't you talk to your wife about not being a fucking embarrassment every time we go out somewhere? How about that? How about that? Does your husband get to bitch him out over her behavior? No, it only works one way. This is where your histrionics come from. It's the unfairness and the injustice of it all because the rules don't apply. And what your husband needs to understand is, yeah, I get it, how exhausting the histrionics are, and you have to stop that because that is a means of manipulation yourself. But the reason why the histrionics are coming out is because your husband is, let's be honest, is not acting the way he should have acted, the way you want him to act, and you shouldn't, and he didn't, and you don't even realize it. When his father bitched him out, his response should have been, hey, fuck you, Dad. Your wife is a goddamn fucking embarrassment everywhere we go. She makes a scene. She abuses waitstaff. Why? Because she knows they can't fight back. And you're going to come and tell me you're going to get in my face over a text message fight? Get the fuck out of here. Go pound sand. That's what you wanted out of your husband. If he wants the histrionics to come to an end sooner, then he needs to step up when he needs to, where he needs to. And one of those areas is stop letting your father treat you like a child. Oh, now it's all cool. No, it's not. It's not cool. Because you're still bringing it up, so it's obviously still an issue with her. With E it is. It's the disrespect. It's the different rules for different people. That's what's driving her crazy. It drives us all crazy. However, if I could go back in time, I'd have written my feelings in a journal instead and worked it out with my sponsor. I just kind of knew she'd give me advice on how to smooth things over. You don't smooth things over with people like this. I'm not sure I want to at this point. Mother-in-law, too, looks down at me. Of course she does. She looks down at you because that's how she gets off on it. She looks down on everybody. She's always looking to abuse somebody. Has your husband called out his father on that? Or it only works one way around because you're involved? She has always needed to make her subtle jabs at me. She can't seem to control it. She's a gossip, and I told her when we met, I won't do that shit. She's really dangerous to gossip about family with family. So she stopped talking to me and started talking about me. There were 2 occasions that I was accused of cheating, and I know one started with her, the other my sister-in-law. And who knows what else they think I'm over here doing. I just ghost them or gray rock them before I had heard those terms and knew the importance of staying the course with that. They always wiggle back into my life. No grounds for any of these accusations, mind you. No evidence because I never cheated and never would, and my husband knows that. He's always known that, and I've known the same about him. We share a common relationship history in that every one of our partners had cheated on us, and our parents both cheated on each other. So this is something that is not physically possible for either of us. We couldn't hurt each other that bad. The worst hurt you can give a spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Now husband and I have had our spells where we thought we might be starting to hate each other. I'm sure he's thought about jumping ship, and I know I have, but we somehow come back to center. We both were abused and both have unhealthy coping skills and tactics. As you know, I do the histrionics thing, and it's usually a reaction to gaslighting. I don't think he's an actual purebred narcissist. He's way too attentive to his kids and me. I feel like he definitely would have cheated by now if he was a true narc. This is all such a mind fuck. I've been second-guessing everyone, including myself. I just think husband and I both witnessed a lot of abuse and developed coping skills, I guess. I just know in my bones he has a heart, a really big, soft one. Even when he does have unhealthy reactions, I see them for what they are. I try my best to stay calm, but sometimes he calls that condescending. More importantly, we can now see our behavior, which wasn't the case in the past. But getting back on track with the story, I still get stink eye at family functions because people think I'm a cheater now. I just try to be polite and mingle anyway, and count down the minutes until we go. I can't control what they say when I'm not there, and I don't need friends like that. Just really a pretty catty family. So stop going around them altogether, and your husband has to realize this. And it seems like your husband almost needs the histrionics, because if he doesn't get the histrionics, now he's questioning, oh, you don't care. Look, you're codependent. You're both enabling each other's abuse from narcissism. You're each doing it to each other. Okay? And until you both get away from these people, and it's going to be hard for him to understand, to accept how toxic his family is and how abused he is, your husband, by his father. Understand something, and I know he watches this. For your father to bitch you out like you're a child, you're a grown-ass man, just shows you he has zero respect for you. None. He has no respect for you whatsoever. He doesn't respect you. That means he doesn't respect your wife. That means his wife doesn't respect your wife. That means nobody in the family respects your wife. They're all talking about her. They're making up stories. Why would she want to be around this? Why would you want your wife around this? Why would you want to be around this? This is where the histrionics come from. So the question your husband has to ask, or you have to ask if your husband is, do you want the histrionics to stop for real? Because are you dependent on the histrionics to know that she cares and she's not going anywhere? Especially now that I'm working on this writing, it takes even more time away from the housekeeping. So no way could mother-in-law 2's OCD survive this house. She'd have a panic attack and give me one. I'm laughing, Ollie, and I think that's good, I am saying that because she would really feel that way. I'm really pretty sure. She thinks I just need essential oils and a better cleaning schedule. She doesn't understand my house is normal, average, that dogs shed, people use dishes and wear clothes, and that one doesn't need to always keep a show-ready house, that obsessive cleaning is actually unhealthy. They warn you in AA that the nuclear family and in-laws are the hardest to navigate in a healthy way. Shit, 7 years in, I'd say it's not the hardest. It's impossible. All these years of husband and I living the 12 steps. Narcs must love that. A human accountability machine. Perfect targets. They get you to apologize for shit that's their fault. Now that I'm finally doing my childhood work and seeing not everything was my fault, all my narcs are getting angry. And that's how the narcs get angry when you fix yourself. Because they know it's only a matter of time before you realize it's all on them. Some people are so fearful of being called out for anything that they can't allow you to have feelings about even people not related to them. And yes, I agree that it's my job alone to work through these things. In the moment, I perceived her first text as a mother expressing her love and how she was there for me. Pretty hard to resist when you're experiencing the memory flood and knowing for the first time in your bones that your own mother hates you and always has. Anyway, I was immediately embarrassed and said all that, and I've actually taken a sabbatical from everyone other than my husband and kids. I'm afraid to burden my friends too. I work part-time and have free time while my kids are in school to work on self-care and this writing. I try to compartmentalize and keep a balance. It's kind of like living in my past in the morning for a few hours, then doing some chores, then going to work. I sort of work a meaningless job that I don't feel helps my community as much as I am capable of, but I can't really help anyone if I haven't figured myself out. It's a food business, so at least I'm feeding people and spreading a kind attitude. I own the business, so it has been an exercise in professionalism. So why are you tearing it down? So why are you tearing yourself down? I don't understand. I used to be a total doormat to employers, always trying to prove I was worthy of my minimum wage. Now I've learned to hold my ground, run my business how I've decided to, in accordance with my values, and not feel guilty about it. It works. Assertiveness. I remember I used to think I was not allowed to be assertive because I thought it was the same as being aggressive. But my youngest was learning about assertiveness in 3rd grade, and he taught me about it in a way that was so clear to me for the first time. He said how you feel calmly, saying how you feel calmly. He said, you get triggered sometimes, Mom. That's when I get uncomfortable. I still get stressed sometimes to this day if something breaks or a customer is rude, but I have new scripts I can play. Don't take it personally. They're just having a bad day. Move on. What next? If something breaks, all businesses have essential equipment and everything needs repaired to be repaired or replaced eventually. I am a business owner. Things like this no longer have to cause me stress. Yeah. Things break in a business. Things go wrong. People get sick. Things happen. But what this has done to you is like you can't handle normal life because of how you were raised. I mean, these are just normal things. But because everything was always made to be the end of the world, then nothing can go wrong. Nothing can break in your life. People are generally understanding that stuff happens, things break. I'm doing the best I can. But still today, that perfectionism lives in me. And although healthier reactions are almost automatic now, I still sometimes get stressed, especially if I feel my kids could be in danger. I think that's when I get the most stressed and have trouble even identifying why I feel afraid. Both my kids now will say elephant or you're getting triggered, Mom. That helps me remember that they have eyes to see too. They have a good intuition about people too. God's got their back. I'm still pretty afraid of strangers, but I can't choose their friends or the friends' parents. It's still really hard for me though not to say anything if their friends' parents do stupid shit. If my kid says like, so and so's dad was yelling and screaming at practice, it made me uncomfortable. I don't need to say anything. But if he comes home and says, so and so's dad let him swear and he has a calendar in his room with pictures of half naked ladies, I feel like the only reason a kid would tell you that is because he was uncomfortable and he wasn't sure he was supposed to be. My job is to help him get to the I felt uncomfortable. That way he can make decisions from a place of honoring his feelings. But I do get anxious inside sometimes if we're dealing with a real piece of shit parent. I try my best to calmly problem solve, but I know the anxiety shines through sometimes. And also be careful that your kid's not pushing your buttons, trying to manipulate you as well into reactions. Kids are pretty smart. I mean, the half-naked lady thing, I would say something about. The yelling at practice, I mean, soccer dads, hockey dads, I mean, they're a dime a dozen, unfortunately. As far as home, I've done a 180 and no longer care enough about how my house looks. The house is old and we seem to always be in the middle of a project with it. My in-laws don't visit anymore because of this. They used to when I was playing the Betty Crocker role and the house was always clean and dinner was always ready by 5 p.m. But I didn't see that every minute I spent cleaning something for the third time today, the minute my kids felt less important than cleanliness, and I was constantly picking up after them and wouldn't make them help. I was the only one that could do stuff right. Now my youngest has trouble keeping his room organized, and I don't have a right to say anything negative about that. I never taught them how. I just did it for them. So now when I notice his room is bad, I just look at mine and rarely is it much better. Also, he got stuck with our smallest bedroom, so it looks messy so much faster. Now I'll ask him to do one thing, like just dirty clothes or sort out the top of your dresser. If he doesn't do it, only he has to look at it. Every now and then I'll help him clean in there and help him get organized, which helps him keep up in there. Anyway, enough present day. Getting back with where I left off with my story. Yeah, you know what? You're letting him get away with too much. See, this is what I'm talking about. He's saying, using, I'm uncomfortable. No. No. He's yanking your chain. He's yanking your chain, and now he doesn't even have to clean up his room. No, you're still the mother. Make him clean up his room. Just because you made mistakes doesn't mean he gets to make the same ones. You got to correct him and say, don't worry. Do as I say, not as I do right now. Okay? I'm the mother. Clean up your freaking room. You got to lay some boundaries. Otherwise, it's always going to be, I'm uncomfortable. Why are you uncomfortable? No, I don't know. Make him, why are you uncomfortable right now? be careful he's not using it to yank your chain. So we're like 7 years into our marriage. Husband and I were living in that illusion of thinking it's okay to drink every night to relax after the kids went to bed. The couples we spent time with back then were drinkers too, parents too, which only deepened the illusion. But I was starting to see a pattern to husband's drinking. It would eventually go from a few to too many, and we'd fight over it. He would say things like, I feel like I'm always under the microscope. I'm jealous that you get time to yourself and I never do. So I immediately get defensive. I hadn't even gone to the bathroom uninterrupted in years. He had no idea that maybe I was home, but that didn't mean I was getting time to myself. Instead of allowing him to have his own feelings, I was immediately discounting them, robbing him of them. But I didn't see that then. I was too busy making sure nothing was my fault. But you're drunk. Listen, he's arguing because he couldn't drink the way he wanted to. Whether it's you were both drunk at the point, it doesn't matter. What was he really saying there? He was saying he doesn't have time to relax, like he's assuming you're at home drinking. He's not drinking the way he wanted. That's what that was about. So another pattern I noticed, he was only able to express his true feelings when he had liquid courage in him. I remember talking to him about how he could talk to me about anything, even if it was critical of me, I could take it. But he didn't believe me, and I don't blame him. I was always busy, always buzzy by him, not seeing him. From time to time, I'd step in his shoes and think what it would be like to be him, to be the only one earning money, to often come home to a wife that's stressed and rushing, always rushing to keep up with life, what it would be like to get cut off when I wanted to vent about my workday. I would legitimately empathize. I'm sorry, I'm just sick today. And did worry about him. And love him. And then I'd eventually fall back into the perfectionism pattern. I was not even aware that I was doing anything wrong while I was doing it, though. I'd have to catch myself, and it'd usually be too late. He'd still be grumpy. I think he saw I wasn't authentic. I was catching myself because I had to, not because I had to, not because I really wanted to stop being a human cyclone. Some critical moments happened for me at that time, though, that helped me open my eyes again to my husband. I remember a phone call with Drunky. She was saying something about how my dad wanted nothing to do with us when we were little. She said not to expect much from my husband. Men aren't good with babies. I remember thinking, but my husband is good with our babies. He loves them so much, and I can see the adoration in his eyes. He got up for feedings if I was sick or needed extra sleep, even on work nights and always on Sundays. He was always asking, do you need anything from the store on my way home? I swear I would never have had to leave my house back then if I didn't want to. He would just take on any responsibility that I couldn't or wouldn't or was too depressed to. He was actually not like my dad, and Drunky didn't spend any time with us or call me. How did she know what kind of father my husband was? I guess he was like that thing where I'm not allowed to talk shit about my family, but no one else better, you know? But it sparked like a little awakening in me. I was able to see my husband again, only because I was enjoying making my mother wrong in my head. I'm sure wasn't woke, but I wasn't starting to stir. I'm just now realizing I forgot to ever mention we closed the gallery when my youngest was like 6 months old. The girls tried to be cool about it. G was moving on, earning her master's. C and I couldn't do it alone, especially with me now prioritizing motherhood. C had been resentful of my having children from the start, making jabs, saying things in jest that were really negative. It hurt me really bad. Anyway, C's boyfriend was a tattooed truck driving motorcycle riding type. He kind of a blowhard. I started noticing C was getting meaner when they started dating. She seemed even more hell-bent on criticizing me, especially if he was around. C would always be criticizing me for my values and my way of living. I was always being called traditional, conventional, conservative, straight edge. She expressed negativity about pretty much everything about me, but was way worse when he was around. We'll call him Pop because he had such a big head. It may pop one of these days. Anyway, Ollie, my longest friend C. Remind you of anyone? Yeah. Yeah, every other woman in your life who tries to sabotage you, like your mother. I remember her throwing the phrase around a lot. I'm a control freak, so we have to. I tried my best not to step on her toes and was seeking her approval of my work. I think I was kind of scapegoated in the gallery, too. She talked me into bringing C to work at one point, but he didn't like it. It was too cold and his cheeks were getting rosy and he wasn't comfortable. I went home and I remember her acting really annoyed I was packing up. I never brought him back, not because of the temperature. It's warm most of the year here. I didn't bring him back because C didn't like him, and so I was not liking her on the inside. So I'd already been cutting back for a long time on my involvement, but always paying my share of the overhead with husband's check, which he was totally fine with. It wasn't much money. He always supported me no matter what I wanted to do. I remember finding this odd that he made me feel guilty, like I was using him. No one ever supported me like 100% before. Not that I can remember, at least. Anyway, the dissolving of the gallery was cordial but tense. I remember when the kids were 1 and 3. Shortly after closing the doors of the gallery, I got depressed, although I didn't see it. I was getting dizzy and often went to my doctor. He listened to my symptoms and asked me maybe I was depressed. He had me do a questionnaire, and I had to answer yes to almost all the questions. He put me on a mild antidepressant and said it was late onset postpartum depression. This was a blow. If I was depressed, I wasn't a perfect mother. I never liked pills of any kind, but especially antidepressants. You know about my dad and the Paxil. He had gotten so dependent he couldn't get out of bed without it. I was desperate, though, and took it. He said it would take 2 to 3 weeks to start feeling a difference in my mood, but I felt better after the first pill, which told me it was mostly psychosomatic. Yup. I took them for 3 months, but weaned off then because I always knew it wasn't the pills making me feel better. Taking action was what made me feel better. Mental note. I think this is a good length for now. Better days come with my story. This is right around where I really start waking up. There is much struggle to come, but it's a struggle to reclaim my very humanity, and well worth the fight. I've been excited to get to the place in my story where we find recovery. There are many parents who want recovery but are afraid of the stigma surrounding addiction, and mostly afraid of their kids being taken if they admit to a problem. I'm proof that there is hope, that people can change with a lot of understanding support. I feel a call to help addicted parents, but I have to finish my healing first. Or maybe my addiction to alcohol is proof I'm a narcissist. I know I can count on you to be honest about that. Best to you, Charlene, and the channel, Anonymous A. Well, the fact that you gave it up and you're admitting everything proves you're not a narcissist. Just like drinking, picking up a drink or becoming an addict is a choice, so is putting it down. Taking action is what made you feel better. It's what always makes you feel better. Whether it's going no contact from booze or the toxicity in your life. If you don't take the action, nothing is going to change. So I hope that helps. Thank you so much for another contribution and story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. I'm sorry, I am really not feeling well today. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you guys. Without you, all of this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.